So you're trying to design a life that's different than the one you have now. Maybe you're trying to do something big that's never been done before. And in your limited mind, you're trying to figure out, well, how could this possibly work? How could I possibly meet the right people and be at the right places? And who do I know? And I don't have any money, and I don't have the resources, and I don't have the time, and I don't have the current circumstances right now in my limited reality where I am right now focused in. I don't yet have the ability to even see how it's possible. But that's not your job. Your job is not to know the how. Your job is to know the what. What is it that you want? What is it that if you really sit with yourself and just you, and if nothing else mattered, and if nobody's opinion mattered, and if money didn't matter, if time didn't matter, if your physical location wasn't an issue, if you could just be like a child and fantasize the ideal reality, what would that look like?
If you've ever felt like you were destined for more, you're in the right place. It's time to break out of the box you've been placed in. The world is waiting for your light.
Hey friends, so glad you're here. Today I want to talk about manifesting the life of your dreams, but specifically the faith aspect. Because in order to truly design the life that you love and to make changes in your life, you have to believe that you can. You have to have this immeasurable amount of faith. And you are going to doubt yourself along the journey. You are going to reach stumbling blocks. You are going to feel defeated. You are going to feel like giving up. So in order to get through that and break through those barriers, you have to fall back on your faith. But how do you get this faith? Where do you get the belief if you just don't have it within you? Can you cultivate it? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can. So I want to give you a few tips and go over some of the things that have helped me, that I've done, that have really helped me to increase my faith and do things that I never would have thought possible just a few years ago. So last week I touched on this a little bit, but I came up with this metaphor and I kind of want to expand on it a little bit more. But it's this idea of the plant that's in a flower pot, that the pot is getting too small. If you've ever had live plants in your house, you've probably had this situation where you have this plant and all of a sudden you're noticing that it's not thriving anymore. And you're watering it and you're doing all the things that you need to do, you're giving it light, and you haven't changed anything, so you're not sure why all of a sudden this guy is not doing well. So you decide that maybe he or she needs to be in a larger pot, right? Because this happens, because we know that when there's no room for the roots to go, there's no room for the plant to go. So it's like as above, so below. It's a great metaphor right there. But anyhow, so you remove the plant out of the pot and you see that indeed those roots are twisted in there, and they're like, there's so many of them and they have nowhere to go, and that's why the plant wasn't growing. So now you put the flower into the larger pot, and before you know it, usually very, very quickly, the plant will begin to thrive again. It will begin to grow and flourish. Now think of this metaphor. Your mind is the smaller pot. It's limited in its ability. It's limited with how much growth can happen and exactly what the plant, your dreams, can do on their own in the limited space of that small pot. Now, when you transplant the plant, the dream, into the larger pot, this is now giving it to something greater than yourself. You're taking it from your limited mind, your limited perspective, and you're passing it over to a higher mind. You're passing it to God, to the universe, to the all that is, and that is your faith. And when you put it there into that enormous, you can't even comprehend how enormous this power is, and you put your dreams and your desires into this larger pot, to this higher mind, and you stick it in there. After you stick it in there, there's nothing else that you need to do. because the roots of the plant know what to do now that they have the resource of the larger pot and the room and the space. And so this is the metaphor that you can use to remind yourself that when you try to hold on to every little aspect of what you are trying to design, so you're trying to design a life that's different than the one you have now. Maybe you're trying to do something big that's never been done before. And in your limited mind, you're trying to figure out, well, how could this possibly work? How could I possibly, meet the right people and be at the right places? And who do I know? And I don't have any money, and I don't have the resources, and I don't have the time, and I don't have the current circumstances right now in my limited reality where I am right now focused in. I don't yet have the ability to even see how it's possible. But that's not your job. Your job is not to know the how. Your job is to know the what. What is it that you want? What is it that if you really sit with yourself and just you, and if nothing else mattered, and if nobody's opinion mattered, and if money didn't matter, if time didn't matter, if your physical location wasn't an issue, if you could just be like a child and fantasize the ideal reality, what would that look like? What are you doing? Who are you with? How much money are you making? What's flowing in? What do you have? What experiences are you having? What does it feel like to do it? Like, what are you doing? I used to have this, and I still do, have this dream where I envision myself tipping in $100 bills. Like everywhere I go, I have a stack of $100 bills, and I just pass them out and bless people. So, the valet guy at the restaurant, we're going out for dinner with my husband, $100. The bartender, $100. The girl at the resort that's cleaned up our room, $100 on the nightstand. So it's like this vision that I have, and when that becomes my reality, that's going to be my proof that I've made it. Because that's the dream that I've been holding on to for so long. Because when it comes to manifesting wealth, for me, it's for the experiences, the fun, the freedom. But it's also to be able to bless as many people as I possibly can and to have a greater impact on the world around me. But anyway, I got off on a tangent. So when you give your dreams over to the divine, to the universe, to God, to the greater mind, you know that you no longer have to worry about how any of it's going to happen, because you've placed it in God's hands and God knows what to do. As I mentioned last week, the universe wants you to expand, because that's all the universe ever does, is expand. Everything in nature is growing and expanding. And so everything in nature wants you to be growing and expanding. It's law. It's part of the way of how things are. So by handing it over to that power, you're letting yourself off the hook, that you no longer have to think about how it's going to work or when it's going to work or all of the details, because you let God handle all of that for you. All you have to do is show up and allow. Know what you want. Know exactly what you want. Get to the details of it. And then allow it to come in. And by allowing it to come in, I mean hold on to that faith. No matter what, hold on to the faith. Find the place where you can feel good every day and every moment. When things bring you down, when you have doubts, when you have a bad day, when you have people that are being disrespectful towards you, or they're putting you in a bad mood, whatever circumstances, situations, family dramas, friend dramas, whatever is going on in your life, there's always going to be good things going on in your life. But your number one job to allow for the life that you want to come true for you, the life that you've designed, your number one job is to always find the place of happiness, of joy, of allowing, of faith. That's your job. So when you get knocked off, and you will, this isn't something that you're never, so so I talk about this sometimes in this personal growth world. We think like, oh, I should be happy all the time, or the people that are teaching this material, my mentors, these authors, all these gurus, right? They must have it all figured out. They must be happy all the time because they teach these techniques. So they must never get into funks, and they must never feel low, and they must never have those days where they can't get out of bed. But why do I have those days? Why do I have those days where somebody says something to me, or somebody in my house irritates me, and all of a sudden it knocks me off for the rest of the day, and I'm in a bad mood, and I can't even think about my dreams. I can't even think about anything coming my way that's good, because I feel like bad, and I just feel like sinking under the covers and not coming out for a day or two. And why does that happen to me? And that happens to you because that is a part of life. It's a part of the human experience. That is going to happen to you no matter what. No matter how good you get at this, it's going to happen to you. You're going to encounter circumstances that are going to make you feel down. But your number one job always is to dust yourself off, and get back up. And find something that will bring you joy. Find some thought that feels better. Find some activity that feels better. Go outside, let the sun hit your face. Go outside and look at something in nature. Look at the wind moving a tree. Look at a little squirrel running around. Look at the snow falling out your window. Find a way to ground yourself in nature. Put earphones in and put some kind of good frequency music or spa music or meditation music, and listen to that for 5 minutes. Allow yourself to be brought back down into balance with these techniques. But don't try to completely avoid bad things happening, because that you're just going to disappoint yourself forever and ever. You're never going to avoid it. But you can get really good at getting back into that good feeling place quicker. And over time, it's going to happen less often as you're aware and as you stay on top of it, as you stay sort of ahead of it. So instead of allowing the day to determine my mood, I'm going to create my mood to determine how the day is going to unfold. So I'm going to wake up in the morning with my positive affirmations, doing a meditation before I check social media, getting some quiet time, getting some journaling time, getting some time in nature, just so I can ground myself and set myself up for the day. So I'm a little bit more equipped and a little bit more prepared at all the things that are going to come at me. But that's your number one job as a manifestor, as somebody that wants to design the life that they want to design, a life that they love, a life that they feel joy and excitement in. Your number one job is to constantly be seeking moments where you feel good, where you feel a little bit better than you did in the previous moment. And that's how you hold on to your faith, is in your good feeling moments. The longer that you can feel good, the stronger your faith is going to grow. The next tip is find people around you that are either doing it already or willing to dream with you about it. And by that, I mean surround yourself by people, whether in real life or online. Surround yourself with people that are successful, that have done big things. These people will act as permission for you to move forward. If you don't have anyone in your immediate circle that has really done much with their lives, they're most likely not going to support your big dreams and your big visions, because they haven't achieved anything big. And so in their minds, it's not possible and it's not believable because they haven't done it for themselves. And they're going to project their own personal disappointments onto you and let you know that that's not possible or realistic for you. And when you allow yourself to share your dreams with people that are not going to encourage you and say like, yeah, you can totally do that, it's easy to doubt yourself and give up really, really quick. So it's important to surround yourself with material, content, books, podcasts, YouTube videos, social media posts. But you have to be careful with social media, because social media, you have to use it for your advantage and not allow it to use you. But there are so many great benefits to social media if you use it with intention and you know what you're looking for and you can get off when it's time to get off. But surround yourself with these types of messages. Surround yourself with people that have done things, that have risen up in their lives. People that, did you know that I think the statistic is like 80% of millionaires, I'll have to double check on this, but it's like 80% of millionaires are self-made. Like most people think that all millionaires come from wealth, they come from rich families, but that's actually not true. Most of them are self-made, meaning they didn't come from wealth. They didn't come from greatness. They became great through their persistence, through their belief, trying 50 million different things. A lot of success is just a bunch of failures. It's a bunch of things that didn't work that you never see. When you look at successful people, you never see all their failures. You just see the successful thing. But they have gone through time and time again failures and disappointments and things that didn't work. And they just kept going until they found that one thing that finally did. Right? Like I think Thomas Edison said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I just found 1,000 ways that didn't work. That's basically how it is. But you want to surround yourself with people that have done the things that you want to do, because this again will feed into your faith. You have to look for proof in the real world that something's possible. When you look for proof, you're going to find proof, but you have to actively seek it out and be constantly looking for proof, constantly be looking and constantly be asking the questions. Asking things like, wouldn't it be nice if, wouldn't it be great if, what would it feel like asking those types of open-ended questions so that your environment can bring you those answers. We always find proof of the things that we believe. So if you believe that other people have been able to find success in different areas of their lives, and you're able to kind of listen to their stories and see what they've overcome and see how they were able to do it, then it just makes it a little bit more believable for you, because now you're going from never knowing anybody that's done it to at least connecting with people, even if it's just online, but connecting with people that have done things that you want to do. So it's very, very important. But the other part of that is, I said, surround yourself with people that are willing to believe with you. If you can, get your spouse in on it, get your kids in on it, get your friends in on it. When we first started our Young Living business, our friends and I, we were just so unserious. Like it's not, it makes me laugh till this day when I think about it, because we would sit there and do our vision boards and do our dreams, and we just put it out there. Like, we are going to be wealthy, we are going to have these yachts and these mansions, and we're going to have vacation homes, and we're going to have private jets, and it was a joke, but we were talking about it so much that it just became the way that we were around each other. And I can tell you that during that time period of my life, this was about 6-7 years ago, this was the time when we were growing the most. Our business was growing exponentially. We were making money that we've never made before. My husband was able to leave his corporate job. We moved. All of these things were unfolding for us during that time period where we were the most delusional and talking about these insane dreams and just talking so silly with one another as if it were real. So we would go to dinner, for example, and we would sit there and we would just talk about oh yeah, I better call up the jet and make sure that they fuel it. And we'd pretend, we'd get on the phone and pretend hey, this is member number 5617. I'm requesting to have the jet fueled up, please, for a 1:00 departure. And we would just say things like that, and we would just laugh and be silly. And we're doing this at a restaurant. We noticed once that people around us were kind of giving us funny looks, who the heck are these people? What the heck are they talking about? And are they for real or what? But we would talk about it as if it was for real. And it was just this ongoing joke for the longest time. It was just this ongoing thing. And then a few years later, fast forward, we moved down here to South Carolina, and my family and I, we joined a boat club. And whenever you need to make a reservation, my husband would always call in and make the reservation. And one day he's calling and he's like, hey, this is Mike, member number 3619. I'd like to request the boat for 2 o'clock, please. And I literally dropped what I was doing and I looked over at him and I was like, this is the dream. This is what we were doing. This is the thing that we were jokingly doing back then when we were talking about having this private jet and everything. And it didn't manifest as the private jet, but back then I couldn't have even dreamed about having a boat club membership, let alone living in a place that that had warm weather year round. But anyhow, back then that wasn't even on the radar, and yet we manifested it through that joke. It actually happened exactly the way that we pretended to talk is exactly the way that we now make our reservation for our boat. And I actually did a video, I'll tag it in here, I'll link it up in the notes. I did a video about some of the manifestations that I've been able to create in my life. And there have been so many, but there are just a few that just jump out at me because it's almost like unreal. It's almost like, wow, that is exactly the way I had it on the vision board. And it just popped up. That was a really fun few years when we were kind of playing around like that. And, you know, as life would have it, and I could not tell you why, but we stopped doing that. Maybe we got bored of it, or maybe because we manifested some of the things and then we kind of reached our upper limit. If you've never read the book The Giant Leap, I highly recommend it, by Gay Henricks. He talks about this upper limit problem where everybody has a limit for how good they're willing for things to get in their lives, and everybody has a floor for how bad they're willing for things to get in their lives, and they will always self-adjust themselves to stay within those parameters that they've set. So they'll never allow things to get any better than the limit that they've set, and they'll never allow themselves to get any worse than that floor limit that they've set. And so when we reach certain successes in our lives, we tend to self-sabotage ourselves. If we get too high, we'll self-sabotage ourselves and bring ourselves back down lower to where we're comfortable. And I think that's maybe what happened to us, because all of these great things were coming, and I think we maybe reached our upper limit. But anyhow, we stopped having fun with our manifestations. I stopped vision boarding. I stopped doing all these different things. Back then, I was actually doing videos in our Facebook group, our members only Facebook group. I was doing weekly videos, daily videos, and I was talking about all this stuff. I was talking about dreaming and going boldly with your dreams and dreaming big and designing your life. Like, this was kind of my thing. So I was doing this for quite a few years. And then when we moved here to South Carolina, and I think we achieved many of the things that were only like in our wildest dreams back then. We achieved a lot of those things. I think maybe we reached our upper limit. And I but like big time slowed down with the, hey, dream big message and the playing around with it. And I didn't really notice how much I had stopped until I was at the beach with a friend of mine, and she was talking about some of the things that she was achieving in her life that she was really, really excited about. She had just reached a big goal, and you know, I was really happy for her, and she was just kind of sharing and talking about what the next big goal is and what the next ideas are for her and her family. And I was just listening and nodding and like, yeah, that's amazing, that's awesome. And then she says to me, she says, what are some of your dreams? And I said, oh, I don't know. I don't really have any. And she was like, oh, well, you got to get some, you know? And I was like, yeah, you know, and it was just like this conversation. And then on the drive home, I was so mad at myself. It just hit me. And I was just like, who am I? Like, I'm the dream big girl. Like, that was my thing. I mean, the vision boards that I had in my old house, I had a wall in my office that was completely filled with pictures for my vision board, and 90% of that stuff came true. And now I'm talking to my new friend here in this new location, and I'm telling her that I don't really have any dreams. Like, what happened to me? What the heck? I was just embarrassed and just like angry with myself. And I don't know how and when, and there's just so many factors in life where we sometimes get sideswept and we just forget, we forget our power, and that happened to me. And so that day I came home and I said, so I got out my vision boarding tools. I created a brand new vision board. I started journaling again. I started dreaming again. I started writing out things that I want for my life, because I realized that, and I know with the whole of my being, I know that those things work. I know that the daydreaming, the lists, the writing, the journaling, the vision boarding, it works, because I've seen it time and time again happen in my life. But what happens is we lose faith, or we get distracted, or some life things happen and we start concentrating on those real life things that are happening, that we forget about the invisible. We forget about this power that we hold, that's within us, that is a higher mind than the mind that we're currently using to make everyday decisions. And we forget that we can tap into that, and we can create anything we want with just a little bit of effort and faith and belief, and tapping into that good mood feeling as often as you can, and getting silly with it and having fun with it. This is how you manifest, by having fun with it, by being playful. And so this past year has been a real wake-up call. And it's not to say that we don't have a great life. My life is incredible. I love my life. I love everything that we've been able to do and create. But there's still this desire within me to expand and do more, and to have a larger impact. And that desire, I don't think, will ever go away. In fact, I know it will never go away, because we always want to be growing and expanding. So when you achieve your goals, or when you set your goals initially, you think that when you achieve them, it's going to be the end all be all for you, but it's not. Because when you achieve them, you're still going to have the desire to grow. So you're always going to be expanding, growing, and moving on to the next thing. And this is not a bad thing. This is how it works in nature. So you want to understand that the reason for the goal, the reason for the dream, is not to reach some end point, but it's to continue living your life through an energy of creation and expansion. So create in your mind what it is that you want. Make a vision board. I love vision boarding. Vision boarding is basically just looking in magazines and online and printing out images of the things that you want. Get as specific as possible. Put them somewhere where you can see them. Or you can do it on your phone. You can do it in a album on your camera roll, and pull pictures from the internet and stick them in there, and just put the things in there that you want to have in your life, and then immerse yourself in the dream. This is the other aspect of strengthening your faith, is that you really need to immerse yourself in the dream and in the vision entirely and completely. So when you create the vision board, you have to look at it every single day. When you create your positive affirmations, you have to read them all the time. You have to read them before bed. You have to read them first thing in the morning. You have to read them when you're stuck in traffic. You have to immerse yourself in this imaginary world that's imaginary for now, but that you will create into your physical reality as you keep going. And when you immerse yourself in it, if it's the only thing you think about and the only thing you talk about, and you watch people that have done it, and you allow yourself to hear these positive messages, and you allow yourself to look at these images and just keep your eye on the prize. And if you get knocked down and you feel kind of disappointed, or something doesn't go your way, or you feel defeated on a certain day, that's all right. Take a break. Take a break on that day. It's okay to take breaks, and you absolutely want to take breaks. But as much as you possibly can, you have to immerse yourself in the dream, and you have to keep reminding yourself that you've put your plant into a larger pot. You've given it to God. You're okay with the unfolding of how it needs to unfold. You're okay with allowing your world to show you the details of how it's all going to work. You're okay with not knowing what you need to do or when it's going to happen or any of the details required, because you know that you've given it over to a higher mind, and you know that it's out of your hands, and you no longer have to worry about it because it's already out there. It's already out there. It's already working in your favor. Everything that needs to happen is already beginning to happen. All of the circumstances and all of the people and all of the thoughts and all of the ideas are already swirling around in the infinite universe, and it's already creating the process of whatever is going to happen. And it's all in your exact favor. Whichever way that it happens is the way that it needs to happen. And you know, and you believe, and you have faith that you are not on the hook, that you don't have to stress about it, you don't have to worry about it, because it's already all conspiring in your favor, and it is currently on its way to you. And all you need to do is relax, allow, keep yourself in a good mood as much of the time as possible. Keep your eye on the dream, keep your eye on the vision, keep looking at the images, keep listening to the positive messages, and receive. If any of this resonates with you, please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Like and subscribe if you like this type of content. I've got more on my website and more coming at you in these coming weeks. I'm really, really grateful for you. I wish you so much joy and so much abundance, and we'll talk to you soon.